Hello, internet friends. My name is Bay, and welcome to the battle for Azeroth Beta and the second pass for the Holy Paladin. And with any healer update, unless there is a massive amount of stuff, it'd be kind of a short video. Maybe. You'll know how long it is. But in this video, I'm going over talent adjustments, spells and abilities lost or gained, what has been kept from your Legion artifacts or legendaries, new graphics, a brief overview of the War Mode talent system and any GCD changes. There's no true gameplay in this entire series, so consider this more of a one-man podcast walkthrough primer of what your spec is going to be like from one expansion to the next, Legion to BFA. The entire testing VOD is located in the video description box down below. It's over on my Twitch channel. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feedback, leave it down in the comments section on this video. And if you're new to the channel and enjoy my ramblings herein, consider hitting subscribe, or maybe even hit that bell icon next to subscribe. That is the notification button, let you know when new videos are posted. Overall, Holy Paladin. I'll just leave this talents up here real quick for a little bit. We'll go over War Mode later. I'll go heal some target targets in a little bit, but there's not a whole lot of gameplay stuff I can really show off on Holy, because first off, one of the biggest things is the Transmog problem, because you can definitely still put on a two-hander. That's not two-hander, that's a two-hander. And you can Transmog it to the Silver Hand. You cannot do that with the one hand and shield combo that the Holy Paladin has now changed to, or reverted back to, or whatever. You're back to the sword and board style, and there is no update on the Transmog section on how this will work and how your Silver Hand will move forward. That being said, however, on the DPS front, we tested this today, because of the new way that damage is calculated, and since attack power is 1-to-1 for spell power for the Holy Paladin, you actually do more damage right now with a one-hander and a shield because of the intellect on both. So that's going to be a weird one, unless there actually are int two-handers. I think people found one in a dungeon, but if there are no like raid ones or anything like of any real merit, then you're not going to be using a two-hander. You're back to a one-hand and a shield. But the damage component definitely was a thing there. But Transmog is also a thing, so I don't know about that. But right off the bat, there are still quite a number of bugs or awkward things that are still happening here. Of course, not a big deal to go over that in this video. So, go over your baseline kit-oriented stuff. Your mastery is still Lightbringer. Still has that proximity-based heal with that whole circle of forgiveness thing, where at max range, you have no benefit from mastery, and then when you're within 8 yards of your target, you'll have full mastery. Infusion of Light was changed just slightly. It still has the 1.5 second cast time reduction on Holy Light, but it's only a 40% increase on Flash of Light, down from 50%, which is a slight nerf. More on that. To compare and contrast your two main heals, Holy Light, which doesn't have its new cool animation right now. It has an animation where you hold a Holy Librum and then cast the spell out like you're doing the this animation. This hand right here actually would hold the book, and then Holy Light casts out like that, like you're cleansing. The animation must have not been rigged and working properly on the beta. It has been removed and reverted back to the old version, which is the same animation for both Flash and Holy Light. So we'll have to see if Holy Light gets that back soon. But on live right now, a lot of the scuttlebutt, the hubbub about Holy Paladin healing is you just can't hit Holy Shock and you spam Flash Light. That may or may not still be a thing going into battle. So in Legion right now, Flash of Light is 18% base mana. It's 450% spell power. Holy Light is 12% base mana. Obviously cheaper, more efficient spell, but it's only 425% spell power. It's barely weaker, so it doesn't offset the trade for weaker fast heal or slower, more efficient, larger heal. In BFA, this has changed. As it currently stands right now, Flash of Light is 20% base mana, so relative to your mana pool in Legion to now, it's more expensive. It's 120% spell power. Holy Light is 13% base mana. It's 7% cheaper per cast in comparison, but it is 140% spell power. That is 20% spell power stronger. So you can watch my mana bar right here as I just stand here with this lobster and fish in front of me. You can spam Holy Light, and with my base mana regen right now on this crappily geared character, doesn't really move that much. Just kind of floats. A lot more mana efficient, right? And obviously you're not gonna be able to impact your mana regen save for your actual level unless there's any trinkets or Azerite gear that does do so. But if you spam Flash of Light, because A, it casts faster, and B, it's way more expensive, and by default, it actually is not stronger by a few hundred healing, it definitely dunks your mana bar quite a bit more. So getting infusions of light crits with Holy Shock, you may see a lot more Holy Light usage because of how fights may or may not be scaled. If I can get a proc right now. More on that. Holy Shock has seen a slight nerf as well, or a slight scaling buff, depending on how you want to look at it. So instead of having double the normal critical strike chance, Holy Shock only has an additional 25% crit. So now you can't get to 50% crit and have a 50% crit baseline for Holy Shock to double to 100%. You'll now would need 75% crit to be able to do that. So that's a pretty big overall change to your 3 core spells, at least in their maybe their hierarchy, but that is meant to be, you know, a math crafter thing. I'm sure the Paladin community will figure all that stuff out. Because that crit synergy you may have lost from Holy Shock, Avenging Wrath has been updated. In Legion, Avenging Wrath is just 35% damage and healing. Now, as you read it here in BFA, it is 30% damage, healing, and critical strike chance for 20 seconds. So there may be a point where you get enough crit without Avenging Wrath to then be at 100% crit with Holy Shock. I'm not totally sure, but that could also factor into how the mana change with Flash of Light and Holy Light is obviously a part of what Blizzard is trying to get the Holy Paladin away from just spamming FOL all the time. So that's an interesting one. It also gives a little bit more damage synergy, obviously, because the scaling multiplier behind the scenes for your actual raw damage. Now you get more raw crit for your DPS, because Holy Paladins definitely do some burst. That also leads into a new talent, and maybe a talent layout. But overall, the other little things here, Blessing of Sacrifice had its wording updated, but I don't think it actually means anything different. It looks like it had your artifact trait baked in, essentially, but the wording on this is that it's 2-minute cooldown. It reduces the targeted party or raid member's damage incoming by 30%, and you'll take 75% of the damage prevented. Last 12 seconds, or until transfer damage would cause you to fall below 20% health. That can still be immune. You can also still bop physical damage transferred, or of course be spell warded for magic damage transfer. But the Prot Paladin takes 100% of that same transfer. The Holy Paladin takes 75% of it. So there's some math in there where you literally are reducing overall damage because you're not taking the whole brunt of the 30%, right? So that's a slight tweak to that. Blessing of Freedom did have its cooldown added on by 20 seconds, and it was making you immune to forced movement effects. That has been reverted. So it's back down to the cooldown you're used to right now, but no longer has the movement impairing effect stuff that is like the push and pulls. Those were added in the other version, but it's all gone now. Divine Steed copped a nerf for some reason because Paladins weren't mobile, I guess. It's a 1-minute recharge now, up from 45 seconds. And the Judgment window from a DPS side of things has been removed because Judgment now is the same for Holy and Ret, where it debuffs the target. So your next Crusader Strike or Holy Shock, of course in the case here of the Holy Paladin, will deal more damage to that one target, one debuff, and it removes it. So obviously if you're doing damage, you want a Holy Shock into that Judgment window. unless you're taking one of your new talents. Everything else is still the same, though, baseline. So you're going to see all the same things. I mean, that's not the same thing. That's obviously a talent proc there. But everything else is still here the same way you are going to see it on live. Nothing else is sneaking in. That is the core of the spec. The consecration change does affect Holy Paladin a little bit if you haven't seen the consecration change for Prot. Now, consecration has a longer duration but a very short cooldown. This does sort of nerf Holy Paladin damage because you can't overlap consecrations anymore. You can only have one consecration out at a time. And again, Crusader Strike now scales off of attack power, which is a 1-to-1 to your spell power. And then Holy Shock still does a little bit less damage to an enemy and more damage, obviously, to an ally, but it still is used when you do damage. But overall, healing-wise, I mean, everything's the same. You still have your beacons, you still have the same beacon interaction. The beacon change, a slight change, is that you only get 20% of the mana back from the spell if you cast on the actual beacon target. This is mostly just a squish change, though. This isn't a nerf to beacon. It's just mostly a number squish, because obviously all the mana changes are changing. But Aura Mastery is still the same, depending on what aura you use. We'll go over your auras when we go over talents in a moment, but everything else, cleanse, consecration, still have divine protection, still have everything else that you are used to. Hammer of Justice is still a 1-minute cooldown, 6-second stun. Light of the Martyr is still weird. It may or may not be good. Still, there's no talents for Light of the Martyr anymore, so it really is only just another heal you can use while you're moving if you don't have Holy Shock up. But Light of Dawn still has a terrible animation, unfortunately. That's just... we live in this world where we have a terrible animation on this spell. And remember, Light of Dawn sort of has the butt cleave heal, where it heals a circle around the Paladin, which is basically melee range, and then the cone in front, if you didn't know that. Lay on Hands is still there. Real quick on the GCD stuff before I do talents. So, Avenging Wrath, Holy Avenger, Aura Mastery. They're on the GCD. Everything else is the same as it is on live. So, talents real quick. You lost Fervent Martyr. Exactly. And then Beacon of the Lightbringer, which was a weird one. I mean, Beacon of Virtue and Beacon of Faith are both top-notch, right? These are both solid as heck, double beacon, or the AoE beacon that's really good for Mythic Plus dungeons. Those are both right there. Divine Purpose got moved down here, where your Beacon of the Lightbringer was. So this is where you have the Divine Purpose you're used to, 20% chance on Light of Dawn or Holy Shock to just basically just cast it again, no cooldown. Make the next spell cast free. Talents were added, were Awakening, which you saw there when I was walking over. This is the Topless Tower Legendary. So Light of Dawn has a 15% chance to grant you Avenging Wrath for 10 seconds. It's only on Light of Dawn, which is kind of weak. We talked about today how this probably should be Light of Dawn at this amount, and then maybe also Holy Shock at a lesser amount, because the whole tier works with everything else, but this one is just Light of Dawn, which seems kind of strange. And almost seems like it's forced to take Divine Purpose to get procs on procs, which healers don't like. A lot of procs on procs and RNG, so... meh. You got a PvP talent moved over here. Avenging Crusader. Now, I have to go over to the actual DPS dummies to use this, because there's no DPS dummies over here, only the healing ones. Avenging Crusader is a PvP talent that was a 1-minute cooldown, but now this replaces Avenging Wrath, so again, replaces the 30% damage healing and crit modifier you had, for the offensive, essentially a penance-style Holy Paladin feel, which I think this feels very Holy Paladin-y. The damage numbers on this, or the coefficients, may be way too high, or Awakening is way too crap right now. But 2-minute cooldown. You become the ultimate Crusader of the Light, increasing your Crusader Strike, Judgment, and auto attack damage by 30%. Not Holy Shock. And then Crusader Strike and Judgment cooldown 30% faster and heal up to 3 injured allies for 250% of the damage they deal for the next 20 seconds. So obviously you're going to be hitting Judgments, Crusader Strikes, and then filling with anything else. Because you still have some time to throw an actual heal, but again, you want to hit the Judgments and Crusader Strikes, and maybe a Holy Shock for damage, or a Holy Shock on someone else. The other damage abilities I'm hitting there were just because you can hit damage abilities, but you basically get this like bursty Judge, Crusader Strike window, and then you can do other things. And you get Judge, Crusader Strike again. Obviously auto-attacking or trying to auto-attack the whole time, because that is going to heal every time you auto-attack too. Or no, do more damage when you're auto-attacking. But you can also couple that with Crusader's Might. Right? So there's a lot of like little things here you can sort of mishmash around. Auto-attacking for the increased damage. Obviously timing Judgments and Crusader Strikes on top of those the new Judgment window. This is the Judgment window right there. So again, you want to do Crusader Strikes within Avenging Crusader. Otherwise, you want to do Holy Shocks, because that's going to be a larger portion of damage. And then again, CS and Judgment cooldown faster and heal when they do damage. So it's a really neat Paladin-y tool. Your other option, of course, is just Sanctified Wrath, which is 5 additional seconds on Avenging Wrath, and the cooldown of Holy Shock reduced by 50%. This may be more of an actual healing throughput, whereas Avenging Crusader will probably feel awesome in dungeons because you might have the actual time to do that. I don't know if it'll feel like there will be in raids. And that's why both of these feel great, but Awakening is like... That's about the sound it makes. This actually feels pretty good if you combine it with Holy Avenger. I left Holy Avenger talented here. This is obviously a little bit extreme to couple a 2-minute onto a 1.5-minute cooldown here. But the 30% additional haste would obviously make your other cooldowns cool down even faster, giving you even more burst healing. But you're gonna lose a bit of the Holy Shock bonus unless you actually, tab over Holy Shock other people and then go back. But I mean, that's gonna be a huge window of overall damage because of how fast your rotation's gonna be. And this is, of course, with my base gear on this character. But it works pretty well to always have a GC to slam down for the actual DPS rotation. So it's not too bad. But I don't know if this will actually be a real thing. It seems like a lot, maybe in dungeons. It seems like a lot to use so much to just do damage. So my healing done meter for some reason on my character is not working properly. I've been trying to fix it today before I went live, but it's still not showing healing done for some reason. It shows damage. Healing done? HPS? Overhealing? Okay, overhealing works, but that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Beta add-ons and being busted. They could have done anything in the combat log and it could have broke. But that's a weird tier. Holy Prism is still here. If the damage numbers are there, it's fun. It works in the DPS rotation as an extra button to press. Judgment of Light was nerfed slightly to 25 charges down from 40. Devotion Aura remains unchanged. Aura of Mercy. It only ticks every 2 seconds now, up from every 1 second. Your CC tier is the same. Cavalier, Unbreakable Spirit, Rule of Law, and then Crusader's Might, Bestow Faith, Light's Hammer. You can look at those on a talent calculator. Nothing has changed there crazily, except I'm going to go back over the target dummies now. I'm leaving Aura of Sacrifice for last because this has been an interesting point of discussion and power struggle between healers all of Legion. If you know how crazy the Aura of Sacrifice bomb is, let me know in the comments down below if you're a healer that's fought with it or been a user of it. Aura of Sac on live right now. I will read you the talent so we know where we're coming from here. While you're above 75% health, 10% of all damage taken with it to allies within 10 yards is redirected to you. When you Aura Mastery, 15% of all the effective healing you deal is replicated to all allies within the aura. It's only 15%. But all the traits, all the madness you can do right now with Holy Paladin, all the heal you can have up going beforehand and then react to during the Aura of Sacrifice window, there are a number of globals you can definitely slam down to do a ton of raid healing. A ton of it. The new Aura of Sacrifice, that's all gone. It's just poof, gone. So same 75% health, 10% of all damage taken with allies within 10 yards of you will redirected to you and reduced by half. And then when you Aura Mastery, 30% of all damage is redirected to you, but reduced by 75%. Very different. On stream, we talked about how Aura of Sacrifice looks like it's a cooldown used to buffet a lot of incoming aura damage, right? Like continuous aura pulsing damage, like a big raid-wide dot. Not for burst damage, because burst damage could just actually kill you. So it kind of works in the same way the Aura of Mercy does, because Aura of Mercy just counteracts burst damage by pulsing healing. Whereas Aura of Sacrifice, it's for 6 seconds, right? Because again, this only works in the AM window. It's 6 seconds. Whereas Devo Aura is obviously a 20% flat DR on your whole raid, your whole party for 6 seconds. So this works against burst damage. Aura works against like every 2 seconds your raid takes damage. Or there's all these dots out and you're gonna like soak all this damage up, right? And you gotta stay above 75% health. You can Aura of Sac bubble, because I will show off here. I want to only have one that can really show off here. So I'm taking damage from these target dummies, obviously. Right? If I Aura Mastery into a bubble, you're going to see misses hit my character. Miss. So, the damage is still being redirected, but you are immune to the damage being redirected. And then once it falls off again, of course, you're going to take the normal damage you have here, which is just the 10%. So, it's going to be different to use overall. The aura, the crazy Aura of Sac bombs are definitely gone. But this versus this and this now may have a actual distinct decision point. We'll have to see. I still think Aura of Mercy is like way weak, but it's also so much free efficient healing that it's just always going to happen. And obviously you're looking at levels at 110, but that is your talent kit. Some neat updates overall, of course, depending on what kind of builds you're going to put together, right? Avenging Crusader is a lot of fun. I don't know if you couple with Holy Avenger or not. This took a big change. You'll have to let me know what you think of Aura of Sacrifice down in the comments down below. But those are your talents, your overall talents. But, I mean, healing is going to be the same. But they try to make you not want to cast a whole bunch of those Flash of Lights because the efficiency is going to be quite weak in comparison. So that extra cast time reduction, really strong. You can see the healing difference right here just on the target dummy. It's like 400 plus. That's a 800 plus crit heal. So, and that's going to scale up, of course, into max level and definitely change some things. So, yeah. I'd probably recommend not coupling any use of Land of the Martyr and Aura of Sacrifice. That probably sounds like a terrible idea. I'll look at War Mode talents real quick, your PvP talents. So War Mode is turned on in your capital cities of Stormwind or Orgrimmar. It'll be active anywhere in the open world, arenas, battlegrounds, PvP islands, nowhere in the PvP game space, so not dungeons or raids. It gives you additional honor when killing enemy heroes. If you go on a 10+ kill streak, you'll become an assassin. There'll be a bounty placed on your head. You'll be marked on the minimap and the map, I believe, but you do 15% additional damage and healing until you die. And then if you are part of killing an enemy assassin, you'll gain even more bonus honor. There's 15% additional XP from killing monsters and completing quests, and additional rewards from doing world quests. All it says is additional rewards. We don't know how much it's going to be. And then you get to choose any of the 3 talents you have in the talent panel right here to make whatever build you'd like for open world stuff, for any PvP you're going to do. And then, of course, you get to pick your medallion, your adaptation, and your relentless. So you can pick whatever you want here. Of course, you can follow along on a talent calculator to read through all of these as well. I picked Avenging Light, which when you heal with your Holy Light, all enemies within 10 yards of the target will take holy damage equal to that amount of healing. Because again, it's a stronger heal than it is on Legion right now. This will actually do a little bit of damage. Blessed Hands is your blessings now have 1 additional charge, which is obviously good. And then Ultimate Sacrifice, your Blessing of Sacrifice now transfers 100% of the damage to you into a damage or a time effect, but no longer cancels when you are below 20% health, so it can kill you. Ultimate Sacrifice. But you'd have 2 charges of these out in the open world. Or, of course, you could take the other talent here that I was looking at. Because you have Pure Heart. You and your allies within 20 yards are healed from any source. They'll be cleansed of a disease and poison effect. You have Darkest Before the Dawn. Every 5 seconds, you gain that stacking heal on your Light of Dawn up to 10 times. And then your Light of Dawn will have a huge burst of healing when you actually use it. But it cannot occur if you actually have it on cooldown. Spreading the Word is that your ally is affected by your aura by your aura, so make sure you have your aura effectiveness. Gain additional effects when you Blessing of Protection or Blessing of Freedom then. So Freedom is clears all movement impairing effects, and Bop gives them additional physical damage reduction after it ends. Divine Vision gives you 30 yards on your aura, so you can do like a really aura-focused build here. You can do everything you'd like. Cleanse the Weak, you dispel an ally within your aura again. All allies within your aura are dispelled with the same effect. Divine Favor is when you dispel an ally within your aura. All allies within your aura are also just... Oh, no, sorry. That didn't update. Divine Favor is the old school throwback. The 45-second cooldown where your next Holy Light or Flash of Light is doubled in effectiveness, cost no mana, and unable to be interrupted. So big old Holy Light's coming in. Light's Grace increases the healing done by your Holy Light, and your Holy Light reduces all damage the targets receive by 5% for 8 seconds, up to 3 stacks. Again, more Holy Light synergies here that you could use if Holy Light actually doesn't feel like bleh. Then Hallowed Ground is new because you have Avenging Crusader brought over here. Hallowed Ground is Prot and Rets, where your Consecration clears and suppresses all snare effects on allies within its area of effect. And again, the new Consecrate change, it's essentially constant. You could always have Consecrate down, always one of them down. The only weird thing is that your party members actually don't see your Consecrate because it's a squelched animation in group content, which may or may not be a bug because of the animations and graphics on beta are beta. But build whatever you like. Take whatever build you would like to put together. Any 3 talents that competed doesn't matter anymore. You just grab all 3 of them, make whatever build you like. That's the war mode system, of course. A lot of the back and forth on that is that you're just make awesome world quest groups and, you know, go around and do that. Hopefully you don't get ganked, because obviously doing world quests with more talents can be pretty awesome. But let me know what you think of the Holy Paladin here. I went through everything, I do believe. Yeah, that's everything. I put down here for notes that it just seems like Holy Paladin was so strong. A couple of the nerfs were warranted. They were definitely way leading the role in Mythic Plus scenes, either Holy Paladins or Restoration Druids, and both have seen slight nerfs because if you don't know the Resto Druid, they lost a bunch of stamina in bear form, and they lost a whole bunch of healing on Frenzied Regen, so they can't just ignore all the mechanics and heal themselves when high damage comes in. Obviously, Holy Paladin still does have the bubble to ignore all that stuff. But the change to Aura of Sacrifice is an interesting one for that. But I'm told that Devo Aura was mostly the one taken for Mythic Plus, so... But we'll see. I think a Holy Avenger, Avenger Crusader is sort of like bursty boss damage build where you can just DPS for 20 seconds and you're still healing your group. Sounds really neat. Sounds very Holy Paladin now. But get some good procs and Divine Purpose. Toss out those wicked good Holy Shocks. But that is the Holy Paladin. It definitely works on live. Still going to work in Legion. Just a little bit tweaked here and there. But thank you very much for listening to my rambles, of course. If you would like to be up to date on when I do all the live testing, check out the channel description down below, the video description, I should say, for my channel, my Twitch channel. The link is down there. All of my socials, of course, are right there in the video description box, and you can just go follow my Twitch channel if you would like, where I do all the live testing and play a whole bunch of stuff on the outside. And of course, when the live shows start back up again, we have some MDI specials on the horizon, so we can talk about Mythic Plus with the people that actually did it and casted it and were winning, maybe, depending on if they want to guest. That's it for me. I will see you all in the next BFA Second Pass video.